So the topic is basically understanding journal selection and copyright, predatory publishing, and plagiarism in scholarly communication. So we'll start with a little bit discussing what is scholarly communication, and then we will talk about when you want to publish your manuscript to a particular journal, what are the different criteria that you should consider while publishing your articles or while selecting a publication venue or target journal for your manuscript. And then we will move on to find out what are the different kind of copyright restrictions that are available that are there, and how to find out the copyright policy of different publishers. And then we will discuss a little bit about the predatory publishing, what are the different criteria that we should focus, and then plagiarism in a bit. Intellectual progress is only possible when new ideas are created, stored, and communicated. This all we are aware. If we do not uh, create new ideas, we do not store them, and we do not communicate them, then the progress or the knowledge or the frontiers of knowledge will not progress. So researchers, academics, scholars involved in discovering and finding new information pursue activities to make the newly found information available to scholarly community as well as to the general public. And if you see the definition of scholarly communication, it can be thought of as a system through which research and scholarship is created, evaluated, distributed, and preserved. So, what are the different processes or systems that are involved in creation of scholarship? What are the that evaluates these researchers and scholars? Distribution, how the content that is produced by these researchers and scholars is distributed, and how we can preserve it for the future generation. These all concepts come under the purview of scholarly communication. So it involves basically activities such as discovery, analysis. Like if you go for a research writing or research work, you will always encounter these steps like discovery of already existing knowledge, what is actually already existing. Then you collect data, that also comes under discovery step. Then you analyze it, and then you write it in a form of a research paper or article, or different kind of other formats are available. And then you find a publication venue where you communicate your research findings, and then the after peer review and other processes, it get published. After that, there is a process called outreach. You have to make your research, once it is published, you have to make it available to all, to available to maximum of your peers, so that they will be aware what actually you have done. And then the final is that is assessment. Assessment means the researchers are assessed what kind of activities they have done and what level of research rigors they have put. And if you see the publication step in which we are interested, like you have already conducted your research, you have come up with some findings, and now you want to publish it. So what activities it involves? It involves manuscript submission. Manuscript means the the draft which you have written and you want to communicate, that is called manuscript. And once it is published, then it will be called a paper or article. So before publication, it is called a manuscript. And then it goes for peer reviewing step. And then if the peer reviewing reviewers are satisfied, then it goes for some final acceptance. If they are not satisfied, they will ask you to resubmit your manuscript. So resubmission and then final acceptance of the manuscript in the form of a publication, and then the manuscript converts to uh, an article or paper. And if you see the landscape of scholarly publishing, it in last 4 decades it has grown like anything. Like if you see in around 13,100 journals are indexed in Web of Science, and if you include emerging science citation index, it will be around 20,556 journals, and 10.5 million conference proceedings are indexed by Web of Science. Similarly, for Scopus, it has a little more larger source list. So 21,950 journals are indexed by Scopus, and 8 million conference proceedings are indexed. Similarly, DOAJ, that is one of the database for open access journals, it has entries for 15,060 open access journals, which means that there are a lot of journals that are available these days, and approximately 2.5 million new scientific papers are published each year. So just you can imagine the kind of the knowledge or the kind of publication deluge, a kind of publication that is being generated by humankind these days. So it is what are the reasons for growth in such research, in research publication? The first reason is that publish or perish phenomena. So in academics, in research, people say that if you do not publish, you will be perished. Means nobody will recognize you and your career will be doomed. So publishing is important for academics, for researchers. That's why one of the reason. Then evaluation of researchers, faculty members, and other staff is based on publication, leading to positions in the upper levels of academic hierarchy. In the academic hierarchy, if you see that starting from the assistant professor to associate professor to HED professor, or like scientists, senior scientist, scientist A, B, C, all the levels of academic hierarchy can be only be attained if you publish. Similarly, there is another reason like growth in number of publication venues. We have already seen that number of journals have increased too much. Like the number of journals, similarly the number of conferences have also increased. So these all led to the number of the growth in research publications. Another reason is that rise of predatory or fake journals or conferences. That is another reason. Salami publishing. Salami publishing means breaking down a paper into several papers, having the same content. So that is called salami publishing. That is also one of the reasons. Means there are some misconduct from the part of researchers also that is causing the growth in the research publication also. And another reason is growth in the number of researchers all over the world. As per one of the study, around 4.5% researchers are growing every year. You see in our country also, recently in a recent report, social sciences, the publication has doubled in last 10 years. So the like it was around 21,000 publication 21,000 publications in the year 2010. Now it is more than 44,000 publications. So it is growing every year, and now it is doubled in last 10 years. For sciences, it doubles in another 1 to 3 years. So the growth of literature, the growth of research publications is very huge. So in this talk, what we are going to understand is that amidst this long list of journals, long big landscape of scholarly communication, some of the aspects which we should consider, we should be aware as a researcher, as a academic, that how to select a good journal. What are the different tools that can assist in selecting a journal? Then the some publisher copyright policy we will see, concept of pre and post and publisher version, services that assist in finding the publisher's policies. Then see about what is actually typical characteristics of predatory journals, how you will identify which particular journal is predatory and which is not, and what are the different tools and services that are available to identify these predatory journals. And then we'll talk about plagiarism policy, use of plagiarism software like Turnitin, Urkund, and other open source software. So starting with
So,
journal selection, yes.
so I want to ask you just how venue and conferences are growth in research publication.
How?
How venue and conferences are growth in research publication.
If there are more conferences organized, there will be more research publications, na?
So
Like
how?
more number of people are organizing events. So there are more people presenting them. So more publications are coming out. Earlier, it was like very rare phenomena. Very few societies were organizing conferences. Now, every university, every department is now organizing conference in a year, or maybe multiple times in a year. So the venues are increasing. So the publications will also increase. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Hmm. So selecting a most appropriate venue for publication or research result is very important, is an important decision, as it decides your impact of your work. How your work is, what impact your work is going to have. That will be determined on the basis of what is the publication venue you have decided, where you are publishing. It will also decide your reputation in your field or professional colleagues. If you publish in a good journals, your reputation will be good. If you publish in not so good journals, your reputation will not improve. Then your assessment, whenever you will be assessed, in the sense that you are students, but maybe in future you aspire to be researchers or academic. You want to go to academia. So uh, your the venue which you select, it depends. It will decide your assessment also. When you go for interviews, people will ask where you have published, not how many you have published, but it also matters where you have published. So for funding agencies, like if you apply for some project, or some for example some PhD level research work, it will matter where you have already published, what kind of journal you have selected, what kind of journals you have published. So there are cases where researchers have chosen wrong venues and had to bear loss in above all aspect. Additionally, uh, if you select a not so good journal, you will waste your time also. Because what happens, like when you send a paper to a journal, it requires a lot of effort to upload a paper. You have to fill a lot of forms, and then suddenly the desk rejections happens. Like the editor just sends the your manuscript back, because saying that this journal, this particular work is not relevant to the objectives or the areas in which the journal publishes. So selecting a journal is an important task. Okay. So that we will see what are the different criteria that we should consider. So I have divided these criteria into 5 points. One is called journal criteria, then writing process related criteria, review process related criteria, metrics, and other factors. We'll see one by one what are the different. In journal criteria, what we see, the subject coverage of the journal. In which journal you want to submit, it will be decided what is the actual your subject coverage. So, for example, if a journal is very good in your field, very reputed, but that particular journal, the coverage of that journal, the scope that in which that journal prefers is not in your research area, they won't publish it. So, best thing is first you find out what is the coverage of the journal. You have to go to the website of that journal, and on the about the journal page you will see the coverage. They usually, all good journals, they mention scope of the journal on their homepage. You read it, and if you find it suitable and your research work what you have done, if it suits the scope of the journal, then only you should send it. Not just because it's a reputed journal you can send it. So the first thing is that you have to consider is that subject coverage of the journal. Then you have to consider the reputation of journal among your peers and field also. What is the reputation of that journal? What kind of reputation that particular journal has? Say for example, some journals are there, they are scopus index also, but they are of not that much good quality. So people will say that okay, you have published in this journal, but that that doesn't mean that you have done a quality work, because that journal is not so reputed. So you have to find out what is the reputation of that journal in your field. So I'll show you some of the websites from where you can check the reputation of the journal, also rank of that journal in your field. Then visibility of journal, whether it has electronic media presence or not, whether that journal publishes only print or electronic form also, and whether the website is accessible or it is on a very good database, so that like supported by some good publisher also. That also matters. Place of publication, from where it publishes, it also matters, because what happens, like usually in social sciences, the coverage of the paper will be usually local. Like for example, somebody will work on Bundelkhand region, or say for example in the northern India, or so region wise the study will be very region specific study. So whether that journal that you are aiming for, that you are targeting, whether that journal publisher will be able to publish the article, what is the place of publication. If it is from your own country, from your own region, there are chances that they will accept this paper. But if it is from a country where they are hoping for a for an article which has a which should have international level of coverage, means the audience should be of international level, then they won't publish local level studies. So that also you have to see. Publication frequency, that is again matters. Say for example, if a journal publishes four issues in a year, or another journal publishes 12 issues in a year, so which one is better? Obviously 12 one, because you have more chances of getting published in the journal which has more frequency. Publication frequency means number of time a journal is publishing one issue in a particular year. Then experts in the editorial board, you can see the experts, which are the experts of the particular journal in the editorial board. What is the level of those experts, whether they belong to your research area or not. uh, so that matters. If they do not have a background in your area, they won't be able to understand the background of your research, the kind of research you have done, and so they will think that it is not of much value. So the editorial board also matters. Then availability of DOI, that is digital object identifier. Nowadays, in most of the good journals, they have DOI. So this is very not so important, but these days it is available. So you should just check it whether the DOI is available or not. Then published articles from the same geographic regions. You can see the old articles which are published in that journal, and if they have published articles from your geographic region in which your study is based, so they you can select that journal. If they haven't published any local level or any regional level, or articles from your geographical region, then it is very difficult, because maybe they won't publish it. So you have to decide whether the earlier articles which are published in that journal, they have their uh, they have articles covering your geographical regions from your region or not. Then published by representing institution, association, learned societies. So for example, like in every field there are some learned societies, like psychological association, like India, in universities we have AIU, Association of Indian Universities. So such kind of if the bodies are there, there are chances that their journals are usually reputed in nature. For example, NUPA, the NCRT, if they are publishing some journals, they are of good quality. So, and there are chances that they will accept your article also, because these institutions are established to promote scholarship. So these criteria you have to see. Then writing process related criteria, what you have to see, like you read the about section of the journal which you are targeting. What is the preferred style and length of the manuscript they are supporting? These you have to consider before, while writing the paper itself, while writing the manuscript itself, you have to consider. Okay. So if you have a big manuscript, they won't consider it, because all the journals, they have their automatic kind of computerized online system for submission. So they'll check whether the number of characters that you are feeding is actually equal to that or not. If it is more than that, they will return the paper. So you have to see what length of manuscript they support, what is the preferred style they support. For example, in India we usually write in passive voice, but most some of the journals in the west they prefer in the first person, the articles written in first person. So you will have to modify your manuscript. Whether you have that much time, that also depends. Then mode of submission. Most of the journal, they these days they are providing online submission platforms, where you have to create your username and password, you have to register it, and then you upload your papers by filling a big form and uploading the files, manuscript files there. But some of the journals, they follow email also, and offline very rare these days, nobody is following. So you check whether they are following online. So in online you have benefit. What benefit you have? That you can track what is happening with your paper, whether it is under review, what are the different reviews that have arrived, and they keep on track of when you have uploaded. They keep on sending emails also regarding submission. So online one is best. So if you are selecting a journal, see whether the submission is through online or email. Email one also, like the good journals, they do not prefer email, but some of them still follow email, because for some fields the professionals, they prefer email based submission, because they do not want to fill a long form, asking so many questions, answering so many questions, and then attaching the files. They prefer the email submission method. Directly to the editor they send the paper. Like for example, one of my sociology professor here in my university, one day he was saying that it is very difficult to upload papers on good journals, because they ask so many things in while uploading the paper. But in our field we just send by an email an attachment, the manuscript to the editor. So some people prefer it. So some of the journals, they have maintained that you can even send your manuscript through email also. Then we have you should also see that uh, whether the journal author page has clear author guidelines or not. It should not be vague author guidelines. Very clear author guidelines should be there. Preferred article type, that also you have to consider. For example, whether they consider conceptual paper or not, whether they consider empirical, only empirical paper or methodological paper, what kind of research you have done, and whether they accept that type of research papers or not. For example, you have written a review article, whether the particular journal which you are targeting, they accept review articles or not, because some journals, they have policy not to publish review articles. Some journals have policy not to publish empirical articles. So like for example, in one of the submissions I have faced, I submitted an article, seeing that it was written that they will accept it, but empirical is also allowed. But when I sent, the editor said that no, we do not consider empirical article, we are more focused on conceptual article only. So conceptual means the kind of manuscript you have written, you have to see whether the article type that is preferred by that journal is there or not. Then review process, what kind of review mechanism they are following, what is the method they are following for review, whether they follow peer review mode or not, whether it is blind peer review or single peer review or double peer review or open peer review system. So blind peer review means the not neither the author nor the reviewer knows whether who is the author, who is the reviewer. In single one, the authors are not revealed, but the reviewer knows who is the author. Double means both of them do not know. Open means it is openly available on a particular website, and people go and comment on the, directly give reviews. For example, archive.org. So there, if you upload a paper, it will be available for open peer review. Anybody can go there, read the paper, and put their comments. And there will be a editor who will take care of the comments. And once the editor is satisfied, they will accept that paper. So open peer review is also taking much popularity in, usually in sciences. For example, in biotechnology, like many journals, they have started open peer reviewing. Means it is openly available for public. Anybody can come and review it and then put their comments on the paper. So you have to see whether which kind of model, peer review model they are preferring, which mode they are preferring, and whether that mode is suitable for you or your paper or not. Then time taker for submission to first decision. Some of the websites I will show you, they provide what usually average time that is taken from submission to first decision. First decision means the moment you have submitted the manuscript, from that moment to first decision, whether it is minor accepted, major minor revision, major revision, or rejected. So how much duration the particular journal takes from submission? If it is too much delayed, then you cannot submit a paper simultaneously to two journals. That is against ethics. So you have to while uploading the paper, you acknowledge that you are not submitting this paper to any other journal. So you cannot submit a journal or a manuscript to some other journal unless until your paper is rejected by the first journal where you have submitted. So the time taken from submission to first decision, it matters a lot. So you see the journals which have lesser time, that is good to submit them. Then time taken for like journals, they publish in another 1 to 2 months, but some journals they take like lot of time from acceptance to publication. So you have to see whether that aspect how much time they are taking. Then rejection rate. Some journals they mention also rejection rate, like out of 100 papers, how many papers they reject. So you see and judge your quality of your publication, and then decide whether you should submit to this journal or not. Similarly, the communication of review process like status tracking, review, all these steps are whether you can track it or not. That is another reason. Publication fee is another aspect for review process. Like some journal they charge publication fee also, article processing charge they say, APC. So you should first check before submission whether there is a publication fee option or not, because once it is accepted they will ask you, then you cannot say that I was not aware. So you should first check whether the publication fees, what is the publication fee and how much you have to pay. Some of the journals they ask for article processing charge if you are making your article open access. Then the availability of the article, like the kind of journal it is, whether it is open access or closed access journal. So if it is open access, there are chances that it will have high impact. Anybody can read it on internet for free, so there are chances that you will get more citation. Even there are studies that prove that articles published in open access have higher chances of citation than article published in closed access. So that is there that you have to see. Then in the matrix part you can see the impact factor of the journal. There is one website called journal impact factor. You can find out about most of the journal on their web page itself, they will mention about the impact factor. But you should always see whether that impact factor is from web of science or not, because only the impact factor from web of science is considered. There are many other kind of impact factor like global impact factor or some other impact factor, but that is not of much value. You should always consider impact factor that is given by JCR, that is published in JCR or through Clarivate Analytics, that company. And another score that you can consider is from Scopus, that is called site score. Site score is also similarly calculated as it is calculated by JCR in calculation of impact factor. So that is also a good impact factor. Another is called SNP, that is a source normalized impact factor. So what happens, like in impact factor, the you cannot compare two fields. For example, in biology the impact factor will be more than 13, 12, 10, like that, but in social sciences the impact factor will be 3, 2. So I cannot say to my friends like saying ki, you publish on only 2 impact factor, I publish in 13 impact factor. So we cannot compare two journals from different disciplines. So for that they have the Scopus people, they have their another kind of matrix called source normalized impact factor. So what they do in a particular discipline, uh, they club the journals that are publishing in a particular discipline, and then they calculate the as source normalized impact factor. So in that way you can compare the journals among the discipline, which journal is better. Then relative rank of the journal in your field, that also Google Scholar provides. H index of the journal, that also you can see citations per year. Age of the journals, agar if the journal is more like publishing the number of years the journal is being published, if it is more, then that is more highly reputed, means you can say that it is established journal and you can opt for that journal. And number of papers published per year, that we have seen that the frequency, if a paper is publishing if a journal is publishing 8 papers in an issue, and another journal is publishing 16 paper in an issue, So always the more it publishes, it will be better. So that you have to see. Other factors what you can consider, like if you have already published previous articles on similar topics in the same journal, then you can consider that same journal again. In your manuscript you see what are the different uh, publications from top journals that have the citation from same journal, that you can consider. Colleagues recommendation you can take, for example your supervisor recommendation, or your colleagues who are working on the same field, or senior research scholars you can ask, and their recommendations you can take in which journal you should publish. Then some funding agency or institutions also provide a list of recommended journals, that also you can consider. For example, CSIR has their own list of journals, so that also you can consider. Similarly, there is a national whitelist. For example, UGC Care list is there, that also you can consider. This such kind of whitelist of good quality journal. But then also, if you have to compare between Scopus and then other factors you have to consider. Known editor acquaintance in editorial board, that is also important, whether if you have somebody in the some of the members in the editorial board, acquaintances are there, or the editor is known to you, because sometimes what happens, the manuscript stuck in the review process, so you can take help of them and ask to expedite the process. So in nutshell, when you are deciding, you must ask honestly the answer to following question: what kind of novelty your findings have. If it is very novel, then you should target for the highly reputed journal in your field. Audience to whom it will be most relevant. If it is will be relevant for the local or the general or for the country specific people, you target best journal in your country. If it is of importance to anybody globally, then you should target the best journal that is globally internationally acclaimed journal. What for which audience the your findings will be of high relevance. And like what it is written, whether the findings are of specific or general interest, and is this belong to a popular area. If it is from a popular issue, then you must go for top journals or your field. If it is not, some of them are not true, you can decide the second or third level. So the best strategy is what? You decide priority, make a priority of journals. First priority, second priority. If it is rejected from the first one, I'll send it to second one. And if it is from second journal level of journals, then I will send it to third level of journal. So you can make a priority list of journals as per your topic of manuscript, not on the basis of their popularity or impact factor. All those things matter only when you when your findings are of highly importance. Then you can see other this one. So these are some of the websites that I have put it here for you. So you can visit them and see this select the target journal. So I'll open some of them and we will see. Uh, Say for example, this one I was telling, that is Master Journalist of Web of Science. Some of them we will see. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
Okay. So for example, this is one website called Master Journalist from Web of Science group. So science is available here. Okay. So you can search for a journal. You can search by ISSN or title.
So what is the importance of ISSN number?
ISSN number is nothing but a kind of registry of like the journals. They maintain the record of who is the publisher and from where it is published. So just to identify, because there can be two journals having the same title. So how to identify them? So ISSN helps us to identify two journals having same name.
Sir,
So
if any
you
journal
see
doesn't
here,
have IS number, so it can't be considered as good journal.
yes, ISSN is must because ISSN is first thing that any journal gets. So if a journal doesn't have an ISSN number, it means that they are not serious and about this publication. So maybe if you publish there, maybe another 1 year or 2 year they won't publish a next issue and they won't sustain this publication for longer duration. So it shows that whether the publishers are committed to the journal or not. If they have not taken ISSN you get in 15 days. uh, like it's not a big deal in any country, so it's not a big thing that you do not get. So if a journal doesn't have, it means that they are not serious about it. So the on this website you can see the scope of the journal. For example, NPJ Digital Medicine on an online, yeah, and you see here you can see clinical implementation of digital mobile technology, virtual healthcare, data analytics, innovation sensor. So this is the scope of the journal. Okay, it aims to guide innovation in the transformation of health and healthcare through incorporation of novel digital and mobile technologies. So this is the scope. I mean, if your paper lies in this scope, you can select this journal, and it publishes articles, brief communications, reviews, perspectives, editorials, and commentaries, and also publishes a professionally written editorial summary to accompany each article, which will summarize the. So reading this, you can decide whether your manuscript. Then you can see the frequency. It is saying that continuous publication, issues per year, one issue per year, and then from which country it is published, England, and primary language is English, and then aims and scope. You can visit the website, host platform, article DUI available, yes, an average number of weeks from submission to publication, 15 weeks. So that's what I was saying, that you can see whether the journal publisher, how much time it takes. So in just 15 weeks, it will publish from submission to publication. Then Web of Science coverage, core collection, open access information, whether it is, because this journal is open access, but it has APC fee also, about 3060 US dollar. So author holds the copyright without restriction, yes. And policy directory share for Romeo, you can check. I'll show you. Then DOJ seal, it is there. Means DOJ seal, if it is there, then it is good open source, open access journal. Then peer review information, type of peer review, blind peer review it supports. Publon's partner, review policy, claimed revisions 133 signed. So a lot of different metrics are available, whether it is indexed in PubMed, yes, PubMed index in mesh heading, corporate authors, and coverage date from 2018. So all these values, even if it is, because it is not the it is not indexed in the core collection science citation index, then its impact factor is not visible. Else if you go back to some other journal, we can see the impact factor also. So in these results, we do not have such. Let me search for you. So you see here, they are providing the impact factor also, journal citation report, and the impact factor for 2019, it's not available. For 2018, it is 4.14113 for this particular journal. So the in this way, from this website, you can find different journal, and there is one option for match manuscript also. Like you have the title, and you put your abstract here, and then it will suggest you some journals on the basis of the terms which are available in your abstract and in your title. It will find journals for you. So that is again, this is a good website to recognize all the journals which are available in Web of Science coverage. Similarly, there is one website called for Shimago journal and country ranking, that is journal comparison. You can visit. That is actually, this is basically based on taking data from Scopus. So if you say, for example, I want to search for International Journal of Data Curation. So there is one journal, Desktop Journal of Library Information Technology, and I can see from which country it is published, what is the H index, publication type, ISSN number, publisher, subject area and category in which it is published, and then coverage 2012 to 2020, it is in Scopus, and then scope of the journal I can read, and then in which areas it published, library information science toward quarter 3. So this, you see this, earlier in 2013 it was in the Q4, quartile 4. Now it is moving to quartile 2, this journal. So the quality of this journal is improving day by day. And then similar journals you can find, and the SJR, you can see citation per document, you can see. So citation per documents are actually okay. Almost one citation, 0.924 citation per document, and the total citations, whether it is growing or decreasing, that you can see here. And the most important part is this one, where you can see from which quartile it belongs. So it, in library information science, it belongs to second quartile, means it is the one of the best quartiles in which it belongs. So this journal is okay, we can accept this journal and we can publish. Similarly, we can also compare this journal with another journal. So for example, say I want to compare this and another journal, library philosophy. These two journals I have targeted that I will publish it. Now I want to compare which one is better. So I can see the H index of DeciDoc is 10 and H index of library philosophy practice is 17. And the quartiles of the citing journals, the journals which have cited these journals, it is like we can compare it. Then inter citation, आपस में इनका कितना citation है, that also we can see. Then citation network, you can see the DeciDoc, which journals it is citing, and this particular journal which particular journals it is citing. The articles in these journals are citing, and then SJR rank, you can see DeciDoc has better rank, and then international collaborations, DeciDoc has more international collaborations. Cites document for last 4 years, DeciDoc has better cite documents, total cites, but in the citation count, library philosophy practices more. So these are some of the metrics which I can see and decide whether I should go for library philosophy practice and DeciDoc journal. So this is also an important website, Shimago. This data is basically based from Scopus database, and the earlier one which I showed you, that is from Web of Science. So these two are the major ones. Then you have journal finder from Elsevier, journal suggester from Springer, then journal authority name estimator from PubMed, then open science database. Google Scholar is also one of the way you can use it to find. For example, if you go to Google Scholar, you can see the metrics. Once you log in on Google Scholar, you can see the metrics here, metrics page, and then from here you can see the selections. And like for example, top publication, Nature is the first one, then Science, and then you can also specify last 5 years. From here you can see the categories. Say for example, you are interested in health and medical sciences, then in subcategories health and medical sciences, I am considering in more in virology. So what are the journals which are top in virology? PLOS pathogens, it has H index of 89 and median index H5 of 150, 120. Similarly, the second number is vaccine, Journal of Virology, viruses, antiviral research. So in this way also easily you can find out which journals are top journals in your particular field. So choosing the categories and subcategories from the Google Scholar also. Similarly, you can go for DOAJ to find out open access journals, and most of the journals have their publishers have their journal finder websites these days. For example, Wiley Journal Finder, or but we will go to this one, Journal Guide. This is the publisher neutral, means all the publishers they have. So what you have to do here, either you can search by a journal name as were doing, searching for a particular journal. Say for example, I search for Desi Doc. So it is not showing anything. So I can see the journal name, its impact, and open access or not, and which is the who is the publisher. This all I can see. And if I want in detail, I can click on this particular journal name, and then I can read the scope of the journal, and on the basis of the other fields like speed, time from submission to first decision after peer review, time to immediately reject. These some of the journals they do not, most of them do not provide. So cost, submission fees none, open access policy none listed. So from here also I can see the detailed this one, and I can visit the journal website or author instruction page directly from here. So this and source normalized impact factor also I can see, that is 1.178 for this particular journal. Apart from that, I can go for searches and type the title of my manuscript or abstract, and it will give me some abstract. For example, say exposing library get lost to search engine, I want to search. It will suggest me some of the journal names. This is basically a like a publisher neutral website. Like the other one which we will see, that will have be from either from Elsevier or big publisher Wiley, something like that. So you see I have got the first one for, and it gives me some score also, calculate some score, and gives me score wise, like the electronic library is the best one for this particular title, and then library review is the second one. So if you are unaware of these journals, you can go and find out about these journals, and like you can compare them, you can see what they read their scope and then decide. This is a good website from where you can either you can print this page or save these results for future use also, so that you can compare. And also you can submit your manuscript abstract also, that will also give you some better results. And has open access option also. If you want like only to publish in open access, you can click this, so you'll get only the open access ones only. So some journals, they do not provide much information about time for submission to acceptance, but at least like you can get the name of the journal, and from there you can visit their website also and find out what is their submission fees if it is not mentioned here. So any question regarding this?
So what is UGC approved journal?
Hmm. UGC approved journals, like they have a UGC has a clear list, that is UGC approved list of some list of journals, and in that they have specified that with the which particular journals are whitelisted, means you can publish in them. So by through a methodology, a particular method of following a methodology, they select some journals. If they fulfill the criteria which is decided by UGC, if they fulfill those criteria, they will put it in the UGC care list. So basically, it's a kind of a movement from the UGC to whitelist. We'll discuss it what is blacklist and what is whitelist in the predatory when we talk about predatory publishing in the next part. So moving on, we'll discuss some of the copyright issues of that are associated with, and what are the different like platform from where you can find out whether when you are going for self archiving. So what happens, like in the closed licensing model, before publishing the content, the scholarly publisher asks you to sign an agreement. It may be through click through agreement, or you need to upload a PDF file having the terms of the agreement on it after signing it. So what happens when you upload your manuscript on a closed licensing model, the publisher will show you either show you or ask you to download and print it and sign it an agreement. That is basically you are transferring the copyright of your paper to the publisher for giving him permission to edit it, print it, distribute, and the article commercially and take commercial benefits. But author will have some rights over the article, such as moral rights, sharing if allowed with limitations, and distribution rights, storage of published version. These are some of the rights which are always available with. So always means moral rights are always associated with the authors. So nobody can take your name out. If you, even if you are transferred the copyright to publisher, publisher cannot remove your name from manuscript and put somebody else's name. That right will be there. That moral right will always be there. Yes, publisher can earn commercial benefit out of it. They can print it, they can distribute it, but they cannot remove your name from it. Some of the publisher, they allow that you can share the uh, PDF with the published version with some limitations, and some also give distribution rights also, and some allow you to store also the published version. So when you are going for self archiving means you want your article to be uploaded on some institutional repository. For example, your library has some institutional repository where all the researchers are submitting their articles after publication, so that at a single place, if I want to know what is the publication output of Bundelkhand University Jhansi, so I'll go to institutional repository of Bundelkhand University Jhansi, and I can see what are the different publications that are made by researchers from the Bundelkhand University Jhansi. Like for example, well, good institutions like IIM Bangalore, IIM Ahmedabad, or IITs, they have their own repository. So if an author like after publication wants to submit the article to a self like it's called self archiving, either I can create my own website and I can put my all articles on that website. So whether that is allowed or not, because it will if the PDF is available from my website, why somebody will pay for it from the publisher website? So there are some copyright issues that are involved. So before doing that, we have to check whether we can go for self-archiving or not. What are the different uh, restrictions that the publisher has put when we have signed the copyright agreement? That all we have to find out before putting it on ResearchGate or academia.edu or on our own personal website. So there is one website called so now, before moving on to check copyright, we must understand the copyright policy of the publication venue we have selected before publishing. Before you have selected the journal or to where you want to send paper, you should understand what kind of copyright policy that particular publication venue has. So, the why it is important to understand, because tomorrow if you want to share that same article through email to your friend, whether legally it is allowed or not, if you want to upload it on your institutional repository, whether it's allowed or not, if you want to store it on your own personal website on internet, whether it is allowed or not, if you want to upload it on ResearchGate, academia, or such kind of social networking sites, academic social networking sites, whether it is allowed or not. So these are all the, because you see in the beginning I talked about after publication there is a step called outreach. Outreach means you have published an articles and now you want to make people aware what you have published. So for a better outreach, what you have to do, you have to tell others about your publication. How you will tell? You will send them PDF, or you'll upload it on your institutional repository, or you'll upload it on your own website, or you will upload it on ResearchGate website or academia.edu. So that the others will be able to know that you have publish something, and if they are interested they can come and collaborate with you, they can read your paper, and if they all are also working in the same area they can cite your paper, so the impact of your paper will increase. So you have to see the publisher website for the publisher policy. What is the policy of that particular publisher, whether it allows or not to share your PDF files. So if you visit the publisher policy, the publisher's agreements and terms are very complex in nature, and it is very difficult for a simple researcher to identify, to understand the kind of legal terms they have used. So it is advised that the lesser the restrictions, the better the reachability and availability of the article, and further leads to high impact of your article. So if you have less restrictions, it means that you will have more reachability and availability of the article, and further high impact of your article. So before moving on how to check it, whether what is the policy, you have to understand three important concepts regarding publishing. So the first is called the stages. First is called preprint. Preprint means the work in progress or the submitted version. So preprint means the manuscript which you have created and you are ready for submission. Finally, you have created a manuscript and you think that now it can be communicated. It is ready to be communicated. So that is called preprint. And this preprint you submit it to journal for peer review and author corrections, and then after peer reviewing the preprints convert to postprint, also called as author accepted manuscript, AAM, or author manuscript accepted manuscript, AM also. So what is the this is also kind of word file also if you are working on word. So this is your draft and the final submitted copy, and then this is the author accepted manuscript, which is post peer reviewing. After peer review, the peer review suggested you some changes, and as author you have made the corrections and then resubmitted, and then editor has accepted it. So that is called post print. So can always be shared in green open access repository after accepted by journal, sometimes after embargo. We will talk about what is embargo. Then the next is that is called copy edited typeset formatted publisher version or published version. Publisher version is what publisher does, that they will take your manuscript and they will format it and they will prepare a PDF out of it with your logo of the publisher and design of the layout and design of the publisher. So that is called published version. So this published version is basically only be shared if the if you have used gold open access or hybrid journal. So this has most restrictions. Majority of restrictions are there for publisher version. But for preprints, there are no restrictions. For postprints, there are some restrictions, but you are free to upload it on open access repositories or on uh, ResearchGate or some. We have to find out for each journal it differs. It's not like common, like from everywhere from for every journal it is not same, but the stages are same, but the policy is different. So we have to find out what is the policy of the particular journal in which we are going to upload. Now embargo. Embargo is the period of restriction starting the date of publication. Restriction means sometimes what happens that publishers they allow you to redistribute, share or upload it on ResearchGate, but after a particular period, say for example 12 months or 18 months. So after the publisher has published the version, in next 18 months, your you can share it. The restrictions will be lifted. So that particular period is called embargo period. So this is the website called Sherpa Romeo. Basically, it's a database of publisher archiving policies, and around 4,502 publishers as on September 2020. There are around 4,502 publishers whose publishing archiving policies are listed on this website. So rather than visiting each publisher website one by one, you can visit the Sherpa Romeo website and find out what is the policy of that particular journal, and then decide upon whether you should publish in this journal or not. So present the publisher policy in a structured layout that is easier to understand. So they provide information in the form of icons also and some description also. For example, this icons means open access, it allows open action, and this icon means you need to pay some fees to make the article open access. And then cross means not permitted, copyright means who is the copyright owner, conditions means some conditions are applied, and license, which license is prerequisite, location, notes, publisher deposit, embargo, how much embargo is there. Okay, so for this you have to visit the website. I'll just show you a screenshot from the same website. So this is the publisher policy section, displays the published, accepted and submitted version of an article in a clear linear design. Like for example, for published version, what are the different options you have? For published version, uh, A and B, pathway A and B, there are two pathways. So if you have a gold open access, then this one. So which pathway you follow, that depends. So then accepted version, what you can do, and submitted version, what you can do. So you see, for published version, it is an uh, paid, means you cannot share it to any website. Okay, or embargo is none, and Creative Commons PMC means Permit Central, you can directly submit, no problem. Pathway E, any website. CC by NCND. These are some of the like Creative Commons licenses. There are different type of Creative Commons licenses. So that I am not going in detail for you. Just you Creative Commons means there are little more, less restrictions than copyright. And then accepted version in 12 months. After 12 months, you can share accepted version, and submitted version. There is no restriction. You can directly share it on non-commercial institution repository or Med Central archive. So for more detail, you can visit the particular publisher website also, or can give the user a condensed summary of the policy. So what I will do, I'll just visit this website, and so if you visit this website, you have to put the name of the journal. I think they do not have this one. So for library high-tech journal, uh, what is the published version? You open access pathway permitted by this journal listed below by article version. Click on the pathway for more detailed view. You can click. So there is open access fees, means if you want to publish the article in this journal open access, you have to pay the open access fees. Okay, it includes open access, means it has open access options. No embargo is there. Licenses Creative Commons by attribution license. Location any website, journal website. And condition published source must be acknowledged with citation, means you have to acknowledge the publisher version uh, with citation. For accepted one, there is none, means no embargo is there, and you can share it on institutional repository, non-commercial subject repository, author's homepage, plus non-institutional repository, author's homepage, academic social network. Means accepted version you can upload it on academic social network, means ResearchGate. Conditions क्या है? Academic social network, scholarly collaboration network that have signed up the voluntary STM sharing principles may occur upon publication. Published source must be acknowledged with the citation. So you have to link the publisher version with DOI, and the published source must be acknowledged with citation. You have to acknowledge the published source, means you have to mention on the file which you are uploading that this article is actually originally published in this journal, and these are the author, this is the title, and like whole citation you put. And for submitted journal, you have no embargo, anywhere you can put submitted one. No, very less restrictions will be there. And if you want, you can go and original you can read the originality guidelines, open access policies of Emerald and Emerald author rights, because Emerald is the publisher here. So from this website, you can see the policy in a very structured manner and very easy manner, so that you can understand the policy of the journal. Whether if you want to upload your article on ResearchGate, you can come here and check whether you are allowed or not. If it is academic social network is mentioned in the published version, then you can upload it. If it is not mentioned, because here it is not mentioned, any website and journal website only, so you cannot upload it. The publisher version you cannot upload it on the social networking site, but yes, your accepted version you can upload with a citation about the published item. You can upload that. So from this website you can check it in detail also, like what are the policies of the publisher which you want to where you, if you want to upload it on ResearchGate.
So,
Next, yes.
so what is the meaning of embargo?
Embargo means the period for which you are restricted to do. See here, the embargo that requires, unless stated otherwise, the embargo starts on the date of publication. Embargo means, for example, there is no embargo for it. Means you do not have to wait. You can upload accepted version the moment it is accepted. You do not have to wait for it to be published. You can upload it on your social networking site or anywhere. Accepted version. For published version also, Emerald has the policy that they do not put any embargo. Means the moment published version is available, you can put it on your personal website. And published source must be acknowledged with citation. Any website you can upload, but the published source must be acknowledged with the citation. So if it would have been here, embargo means, say for example, 12 months. So you can do all these things, but after 12 months. Till 12 months, there will be restrictions. So embargo period means the period in which there will be restrictions will be still applicable. And after that period is over, the restrictions will be lifted. Is it clear? So next, coming to the next topic, that is predatory publishing. And predatory journal publishing means that predatory journal, basically it was coined by Jeffrey Bell, a librarian at the University of Colorado, and it's also known as deceptive or scamming journals. So what they do, that you have done your work with all your efforts, and they take it, they consider you as a prey and eat your whatever the efforts you have put, and also ask you money for publishing. So this concept is called predatory journals. So what are the characteristics of predatory journals? Characteristics like what they will do, there will be potential issues of misconduct and unethical behavior. For example, no peer review. They won't conduct peer review in, and just they will say fastest we'll publish in 24 hours. We'll publish in 10 minutes, yeah, 1 hour. Your article will be published. So which is not possible. If there is no peer review, which means that the journal is not good, and may not apply any editing or improvement of manuscript before publishing. Whatever you will send, they will publish as it is, because they do not have people. Only it will be managed by a single person, or one or two persons. So may not apply any editing or improvement of manuscript before publishing. And one issue will have more than 10 or even 20 low quality papers. That is another criteria for, if you want to identify whether this journal is predatory journal or not. It will be having ISSN number, but that will be, sometimes it will be fraudulent ISSN number. Usually publish fake or hoax papers, as no quality control is applied. You might have heard in the COVID situation what happened. Like several fake papers were published by these predatory journals, causing a lot of problems for the scientists, because they do not have any quality control. They do not consider any peer reviewing. So the chances are there that the fake or hoax papers are also published there. Usually they send spam emails to thousands of researchers asking them to contribute to the journal. So mostly you will get, after you publish some one or two articles, you'll start getting spam emails from these people, to asking you to submit article that will be published in. And I'll show you a screenshot of this, of one email which I have received. I had received. And list of members on editorial boards without those people agreeing or knowing it. They'll put editorial in the editorial board list of people who actually were not taken consent. They have not taken consent from the people, but they have put their name in the editorial board as a list member without, even they make up names of editorial board members also, or authors also. Like it will look like it's some foreign name you don't recognize, some Chinese name they will put, but the person that the affiliation they will put, their affiliation, that person is not actually originally there. They'll copy material, design and advertise as established and legitimate journals. They will copy, like the websites will look like, by design and advertisement will be there, and it will look like established journals. Identical names with established. Most of these journals, they will have identical names. Inappropriate or fraudulently use ISSN. Some of them, like ISSN, if you go and check with this at this website, you put the ISSN number, you won't get the details of that particular journal there. So which means that it is fraudulent or fake ISSN they are giving. Fake journal metrics such as impact factors and other, they will put impact factor like 60 impact factor. Their journal, some global impact factor or some other impact factor name they will give. So that is all makeup or fake journal metrics. State wrong or misleading information about the size and location of the publisher. All these are the some of the characteristics. For example, you see this email which I had received, publication within a reasonable short period, and they you see the email from which where I have received at the rate gmail.com. Why a particular journal publisher will use Gmail for sending mails to their users about their publication? So this means that this is a some predatory journal. And the name, you see the name, International Journal of Recent Scientific Research. So in this, they are publishing from review articles, research articles from areas of engineering, mathematics, botany, chemistry, physics, physical education, physiotherapy, medical science, social science, commerce, pharmacy, nursing, management, and related to all education. So right from education to engineering, everything they are publishing in this journal. Is it possible? Usually journals are very specific in a particular small discipline they publish. Rather than general kind of journals like science and nature, if you remove those kind of journals, very small, because science is basically a magazine. And other journals, if you see, they are very specific to a particular area of research, and that also in that their scope will identify the prominent themes under which they publish. But you see in this journal, they are publishing in engineering also, mathematics also, botany also, and then nursing also, and then in education also. So this is surely a predatory journal, fake journal, and they are claiming that it is a peer-reviewed open access journal. But I don't think they peer review it, because they are saying that within a reasonable short period. That is to lure the वो होता है ना प्रे, प्रीडेटर अपने प्रे को ल्योर करने के लिए बेट देता है. So like this, they have put a bait that short period. Oh, जल्दी हो जाएगा. So you will be interested in sending the article to this paper. Similarly, see another email that I had received. We would like to invite you to contribute a research paper for publication. Authors should submit their paper in MS Word and in standard English. Please to unite research for coming issue. Authors can submit anytime by online submission. Important in this, author notification within 4 to 6 days after submission. So in another 4 to 6 days, they will notify me whether my article is published. And I have experience of publishing last 10 years. In never 4 to 6 days you will get the confirmation of about your. It mostly takes at least 1 month minimum, and they will publish in online within 2 to 4 days. And they are asking to submit the manuscript by email, and that too on a Gmail ID. So this is surely a fake website, and after this they will surely ask me some money to publish it. So you can search for the ISSN also. So for example, this ISSN I have taken, and there are no results with this ISSN which they have sent. Uh, from here only somewhere I had picked. And if you search on Sherpa, you won't get. There are no matches. Means that article there's ISSN doesn't exist. So we'll discuss some of the other criteria that you can see whether the particular journal is predatory journal or not. So the journal asks for a submission rather than publication fees. They will ask you for a submission fees. Promises a very fast publication process. In another 2 to 3 days, your article will be published. Defines no clear publication date. Means anytime they will publish it. Like usually for journals, what happens, they will have a frequency 15 days, 1 month, 2 months, to one issue in 2 months, like that they will have. But here they will publish, like today they have received but 2 papers, they will publish those 2 papers. So no clear publication date will be, no frequency will be there. The journal claims or seems to be rather new. You haven't heard about that journal usually. The aims and scope of the journals are not defined, or rather vague, very vague. They will put it something like in some words they will put it, and it will be not clear what actually their scope and aim is. And the journal publishes papers. If you see the papers which are published by that journal are far outside the scope of the journal. Some of the papers will be from commerce, some of the papers will be from even some of the papers will be from outside the scope, even title and anything will not match. Journal requests manuscript to be submitted via email. The journal has a very high acceptance rate of papers. Whatever you send, it will accept. Paper title and abstract contain errors. There will be errors in typographical mistakes in the title and abstract. If you see read some of the titles, you will find whether they maintain the quality or not. The journal claims to be very international but has no or very few papers from well-known or international authors. Has a very small editorial board or very large editorial board. They will put so many names of editor or members. that does not list contact address of editors, editorial board members, or the public. But you won't find the contact details of the editors or editorial board members or the publishers, so that you cannot contact them. The editor in chief of this journal is also the editor in chief of many other journals with widely different subjects. So, what the same editor will be publishing editor in chief for some 3 4 journals of similar names, different, like Journal of Chemistry, Journal of Medicine, Journal of this, Emerging Journal of this. So like that. And one more thing that is common is that in every this kind of journals you will see one international word will be there. International journal of international journal, something international will be there. So journal has a poor and unprofessional looking website. If you see the website, you will find out that this website is not at par with the professional websites. Sends open call unsolicited emails to many authors to invite them to submit papers. Communication from the journals include poor language, spelling mistakes, or grammar errors. They cannot even write a proper language like mail also, so that it should reflect that there is somebody sitting in the there and a professional person is sending the mail, because the same guy has to send several mails, so they don't consider much on grammatical errors and mistakes. The journal is not transparent about editorial policy, claims to have an impact factor despite the fact that it is new journal. Now, if you answer me that if we see the formula of impact factor, it says that the citations that are received in last 2 years divided by the total number of articles published in last 2 years. So any journal to have impact factor must be at least more than 2 years old if they have the impact factor. So if it is very new journal, then how can it have an impact factor? If they are claiming, then you should ask them that how can you get impact factor of 13, 14, or 16 when the most established journals in sciences they do not have, uh, they are not able to attain even 2 to 3 impact factor in 10 to 15 years of their existence. So that is one thing. So the journal requires authors to transfer copyright despite claiming it is open access. So now it is open access, but they'll ask you to submit the copyright form. Publisher of the journal is not a member of recognized publisher body that commits the best practices in publishing. Example, there is a committee on publication ethics, they won't be a member. STM, they won't be a member. Open Access Scholarly, OSPA, they won't be member. And European Association of Science Editors. These are some of the societies or the like professional bodies of publishers. So the journals will not be member of these because they have their own guidelines and they follow these guidelines. And journal is not indexed in any of the established journal databases such as PubMed, Sundal, Scopus, Web of Science, but they will be indexed in Google Scholar and other databases. So you have to see whether the PubMed Central they are indexed in PubMed Central or not, whether they are indexed in Scopus or not, because these databases they have very good checklist to include the sources. If they follow these, if they check every journal that they include on this checklist. If they satisfy this checklist, then only they include it in their database. That is why it takes some 5 years minimum for a journal to be indexed in Scopus, because they have criteria that the journal should be at least frequently publishing in last 4 to 5 years. So until you are 5 year old, you cannot get indexed in the Scopus. Web of Science has more stricter criteria, even compared to Scopus. So it is very difficult to get index in Web of Science also. But they will claim that we are indexed in scope of Web of Science. You have to check it on Master Journalist or Shimago Journalist. Go and put their name on Shimago Journal ranking list, and if the name is there, check whether the publisher is same, ISBN is same or not. Then you will be able to identify whether it is a fake journal or not. And the journal's contact email address is non-professional, example gmail.com, yahoo.com, like that it will be there. Journal is listed on Bell's list of predatory journals or any other journal blacklist. So there are some journal blacklists available. George Bell, he had formed a list of predatory journals called Bell's list, but somehow his job was in danger because of this publishing list. So now he is not updating this list, but others have taken this list and now they are updating it. So you can check whether the in the Bell's list of predatory journal this particular journal is there or not, in which you are targeting. The journal is not listed on directory of open access journals. Journal is not read or known by your colleagues. If you ask your colleague that this particular journal I'm going to submit, whether it is okay or not, they might not have heard about this journal. So what are the tools and websites which you can check, you can use to find whether the particular journal is a predatory journal or not? So there is a website called Think Check Submit. So this website you have to specifically, it actually points out the criteria, these criteria which I had mentioned only. Think about the criteria, check whether these criteria are fulfilled or not, then only you should submit. Then Stop Predatory Journals is another initiative which you can go there. Bell's list of potential predatory journal publishers is available here. Cabell's International offers journal blacklist, but it is paid. Around 12,000 so-called predatory journals are listed, but this is paid, so you won't be able to access it. If your library subscribes it, then only you can access. Then for you as a student, you can install an extension on Chrome or Firefox that is called Lazy Scholar extension, and this extension automatically checks Bell's list of predatory journal and notifies of a match. So for example, you are on a page of a journal, then this journal will alert you that this particular journal looks like a predatory journal. So that is another way to find out whether this. So you can install this on, I have put a link for Chrome. Similarly, you can find link for Firefox also. Lazy Scholar, it's an extension that you can install in your Chrome. And then UGC Care initiative by Ministry of Education, that also you can visit and check which are the journals. So I'll try to visit this particular website. You have to create a user, like register here first. So I am already registered, so I'm just logging in. So now from here you can either search by title, or say for example, let me check whether any journal with library title is there or not. There are a lot of, some 7 journals are there. Library Herald is there. It is in the whitelist. Ravindra Bharati University Journal, Journal of Information Studies, Journal of Library Information Studies, Taiwan. It is there. Journal of Indian Library Association is there. So these are the journals in which these are uh, good journals, we can say, but we have to be cautious, because sometimes what happens, these publishers, they fake journals, they try to enter in UGC care list by some using hook and crook some method. So we have to make sure whether the the journal ISSN which it is showing is actually the same journal that is published by, say for example, this publisher or not. That we have to be sure. And also we have to consider other criteria also, which we have mentioned in the beginning of our presentation, like the reputation of the journal. It doesn't mean that if it is in the UGC care list we can go for publishing, because maybe our good work we are submitting to a bad journal. So this list has 3 categories basically. If you go to this one, the group 1 uh, and group 2. Group 2 means uh, any journal which is indexed by Web of Science, Scopus, and Directory of Periodicals by the Modern Language Association. So if it is indexed by Web of Science, if it is indexed by Scopus, if it is indexed by Directory of Periodicals by Modern Language Association, it is automatically included in the UGC care list, group 2. And for group 1, we have seen how to search group 1. And this website is very good. You can go there, and even in the resources section, you can read about some blogs about good research practices, and like like guidance about good academic research practices, and commentary by assessing research on slippery slope, Patwardhan, Bhushan Patwardhan UGC Care Initiative. So the people who are behind this particular website, you can just see, read more about if you want to uh, delve more in detail in this particular part, like what is whitelist, what is blacklist, something like that. Similarly, for this Chrome, this one I was talking, so you can install it on your on your Chrome browser. It's a lazy scholar, and this way, for example, if you visit a particular website, it will show you. Say for example, I recentscientific.com. If I visit this website, because it is already installed in my machine, so it's saying remove from what was that, recentscientific.com. So you see this open access peer reviewed international monthly fully refereed journal. And it says that uh, it has impact factor of 7.383. 7.383 is too big, but it is not indexed in Web of Science. DOI, PubMed, Index Copernicus, ICMJ, Researcher ID, but not in Web of Science or Scopus. So this lazy scholar will take little time and it will inform you whether this journal is, if it is in the Bell's list, then only it will inform you. If it is not in the Bell list, then it will not inform you. But it works. I have seen several times. If I click on some of the email which I receive, then it will show me the, now see, he is editor in chief, MV Raghavendra Rao, but only Netherlands. From which university in Netherlands? It's not mentioned. And if I go in detail about the editorial members, editorial board, so they have mentioned this time, but their email IDs are not mentioned. University, Sans Malaysia. Okay, so editorial board is okay, but maybe this is not a predatory journal. It looks like, but we cannot say because still they are using gmail.com. And if you see the kind of articles they have published, archive, and how can they claim 7 point some impact factor? That is also big, this thing, to how they can claim 7 point when they are not indexed in Web of Science. So these are some of the criteria which you should consider. And care list, you can see, is it? So open access publishing is ethical and it makes research more accessible to the world. There are many well-run journals based in developing countries, and these journals are often open access. Predatory journals often misuse the open access model to deceive authors. Try to objectively evaluate the merit of any journal you are interested in, and be suspicious of grand claims made by a journal that cannot be verified. So always you should be suspicious of the claims that are made. So these are some of the references which I have used. You can consider. Now coming to the next part, that is called the final part, that is called plagiarism. And plagiarism is what? Plagiarism is presenting the words, ideas, images, sounds, or the creative expression of others as your own. So if you are using somebody else's words, somebody else's ideas, somebody else's images, sounds, or creative expression, and you are claiming that it is your own words, then that is called plagiarism. So if you go to Merriam-Webster dictionary, you find that to use the words or ideas of another person as if they were your own words or ideas, or to steal and pass off ideas or words of another as one's own, or to use an other's production without crediting source. So somebody else work you take and you do not credit that source from where you have taken, and to commit literary theft, and to present as new and original an idea or product derived from an existing source. So this is the definition of plagiarism. You might have heard also what is plagiarism. So what are the some examples of plagiarism? Like copying and pasting materials from online resources. That is very easy nowadays. Now we can copy and paste anything from online resource. Getting a paper from web and submitting as your own. That is again a kind of plagiarism. Using another person's work and claiming it as your own. Using photographs, video, audio without acknowledgement. So we have seen that recently few cases where scientists have tweaked the images, like the images from their experiments, and claim that these are the new images which they have received out of their own experiments. Later on, people found out there is one website called PubPeer where people after publication peer review. That is another model. After publication the article is peer reviewed. So on that website many people have found that some of the images which people claim that it is their own findings were basically a tweaked version or manipulated version of the earlier researchers. So those kind of things come under plagiarism. Quoting a source without using quotation, citing sources which you did not use. Like if we are citing a particular source which you did not use, that is also considered as plagiarism. Using your own work without properly citing it, self plagiarism, that also is kind of plagiarism. Ghost writing means hiring somebody else to write your own paper, assignment, thesis, dissertation, anything. That is called ghost writing. That is also a kind of plagiarism. Using others' data or research findings without citing. Fabricating data. If you are fabricating some data, that is also misconduct, research misconduct. Submitting a computer program developed in whole or in part by someone else. Copying ideas or any part from source text without proper citation acknowledgement. Okay. So this from this website, this I have taken. You can visit this website on detail. You can see with examples. What are the reasons why people plagiarize? Anything you want to say, Heather? Okay. So lack of awareness about what constitutes plagiarism. That is most common reason. Like people are not aware what is actually plagiarism. So you should be aware. Like such kind of sessions are required where you are basically made aware about what constitutes plagiarism. Then lack of time planning. Sometimes we do not have time. We do not have the proper planning to conduct that work. So we finish off without putting much efforts. Then there is a called fear of failure or confidence on your own words and writings. So you feel that if I write a lot of mistakes, so I should take from somebody else. sometimes to influence others also. Laziness is another aspect. Like we find laziness why to put so much effort in writing when we can just directly copy paste content from others. Usually in student life it happens. Writing, you preparing your own notes rather than copying notes from others. That is a common thing. So that is basically the reason is laziness. Then some colleagues pressure is there, competition is there, pressure to publish for career advancement, for increments in salary. So these are all one of the reasons. Another important reason is that people do not understand the consequences. Like what will be the consequences if they do plagiarize, if they are caught, or if there is some problem. What are the different types of plagiarism? So basically, there are two types of plagiarism. One is called unintentional or accidental or ignorance wise. You have done some plagiarism, and another is intentional. So first we'll discuss unintentional, means carelessly paraphrasing. But you are carelessly paraphrasing, reading somebody's text and then paraphrasing, uh, then quoting excessively, lot of quotations in your research paper. You have put lot of quotations. That is also a kind of plagiarism. You cannot prepare your whole paper out of quotations only. And poor documentation skills, like you are not preparing your keeping track of your sources, from where you have read it, from where you have uh, this taken this idea or methodology, from where you have taken this particular test or methodology. You do not document it, you do not record it. So it is difficult for you to cite them later when you're writing it. So building on someone else's ideas without citation, using source too closely when paraphrasing, and failure to use your own voice. You're not using your own voice. That is called. Uh, Another is a deliberate intentional plagiarism, that is copying from other sources without citing. Buying, stealing, or borrowing a paper means you are doing intentionally. Copying a colleague's work or ideas, cutting and pasting blocks of text from electronic sources without proper citing. So for details about type of plagiarism, you can visit this website. This is the reference from where I have taken. Then different types of plagiarism. There is one more kind of plagiarism called self-plagiarism. Self-plagiarism is submitting his or her own previous work as a whole, or mixing parts of previous works in new works without citing previous work. So if, for example, you have published something before and you are publishing something from your previous works, you merge some portion from one work, another portion from another work, and you prepare a new work, and you do not cite your previous work. That comes under self-plagiarism. So you think that this is my work, why I should cite myself? No, it's not like that. If you have published it, then work is out of your hand. Now it is public property. You have to cite it if you are using that particular previous works contents or ideas or anything. So that UGC has also released a guideline for self-plagiarism recently, that you can visit from this link. It also states what kind of activity is considered in self-plagiarism. Then UGC regulations for plagiarism is also there. It was published in July 2018. That says there is a promotion of academic integrity and prevention of plagiarism in higher education institutions, 2018. And this is available at this particular address. You can go and visit. So it says that there will be a zero tolerance policy in core areas. What is core area? Core area means in the abstract, summary, hypothesis, observations, results, conclusion, and recommendation. So these sections should be having zero similarity. So no tolerance will be there for plagiarism if the something is found plagiarized in abstract, summary, hypothesis, observations, results, conclusions, and recommendations. Okay. So basically, this article, this guideline, it asks for a disciplinary authority to be set up in all the higher education institution, and it should impose maximum penalty in case there is a plagiarism that is claimed in the core area, yeah, core work. So what are the levels of plagiarism? As per these guidelines, there are some 4 levels. At level 0, similarity up to 10%, that is excluded. Similarity level 1, similarity is up above 10% to 40%. And level 2 similarity is above 40% to 60%, and level 3 similarity is above 60%. So these are the some of the levels they have mentioned. And penalties, what are the penalties? Like if there is a level 0, no penalties. Like up to 10% there is no penalty, but that should not be in the core areas. And level 1 uh, similarity is above 10% to 40%, the scholar or the student will be asked to withdraw the manuscript. And similarity is above 40 to 60% will be withdraw manuscript, shall be denied a right to one annual increment. In students case the fellowship will be uh, like reduced, and shall not be allowed to be supervisor. This is basically for teachers, but the like they can be debarred also. For level 3 the students can be debarred also. So there are some penalties that are associated with the and if in case of repeated plagiarism, if you are caught in repeated plagiarism, then the penalty will be one level higher penalty. For example, last time you had level 1, the penalty you commit again repeatedly for the level 1 plagiarism, then the level 2 penalty will be put on you. So usually the penalties are defined by the departmental academic integrity panel, and that panel investigates the matter and submits the recommendation to the institutional academic integrity panel. And even the authorities can take suo motu action also. Without any complaints also they can take the suo motu action for act of detecting the or reporting or handling of plagiarism. So how to avoid it? Because it has a lot of the penalties that are associated, consequences are very bad. How to avoid it? First thing is that we have to have effective management of time, develop good we can develop good research skills, and like collecting information, reading and taking notes properly, drawing an outline, preparing rough draft, final draft, extra time for last minute changes. These all we have to do. Like if we follow this particular pattern, there will be chances that very less plagiarism or no plagiarism will be there. But if we do not allocate time and follow this schedule, then what will happen, that there are chances that we are left with no choice to plagiarize. Read and take proper notes and content and source. Use right tools, databases, citation styles and software. Seek assistance from library staff. You can go to your library and take their help in for if you are finding trouble in reducing plagiarism, or you are finding trouble in taking your proper notes, how to do it. So good take note taking is very good habit for researchers. Okay, so whenever you get some idea, interesting idea, you note down the source from where you have got it, and you track your sources. Always keep track what is your what is your content and what is others content you have taken while writing. So this is very important, because if you miss any of the sources, it will be trouble for you. Then three methods you can use for avoiding plagiarism. That is, one is called quoting, means you can quote it if you are using somebody else's word, and for a small some 2 or 3 sentences, then you can directly use quotation symbol and quote it, but cite it properly. Then second option is called paraphrasing. Paraphrasing means you want to use somebody else's ideas or work, but you have to modify the wordings of that particular work, and you have to write it in your own words. That is called paraphrasing. So rephrasing words of an author, putting his her thoughts in your words, but you have to cite it. And summarizing means that involving putting main ideas of one or several writers into your own words along with the main points and citing. But there are some like uh, relaxations also. Like for everything you do not have to cite it. For example, note citation is required if information is widely accessible or commonly known as, example, Indian population, first president of India. So any information which is likely to be known by a lot of people. For example, if I say Tim Berners-Lee invented World Wide Web, now I do not have to cite the paper in which Tim Berners-Lee invented World Wide Web. I'm taking his idea, but I do not have to cite it because it's a common knowledge now that Tim Berners-Lee invented World Wide Web. Similarly, if something is very common, commonly known in your field, and it is very common, then you do not have to cite it. Like for example, general references or dictionary, encyclopedia, you do not have to cite it. But if it is, you are not clear, you are confused whether I should cite it or not, then the answer is, the solution is, the final decision should be that you should cite it. So what is the best way to avoid plagiarism? It is only cite, cite, cite. Means you should always cite, you should always acknowledge the scholars from where you are taking your data. So detection of plagiarism, it was very difficult in print era, but technology made it easier to track down and identify plagiarism. Like search engines can easily detect. So for example, if you have sent one assignment to me, I can just copy some of the text and put it on Google. I will get to know that from where you have copied it. So it is very easy detection of plagiarism. So never think that if no everybody is doing, so I can also do, or if nobody no be and don't think that nobody will be able to find it out. So best is to write it in your own words and cite the author from where you have taken the idea. Full text journal articles are available in databases. Computer assisted detection allows vast collection documents to be compared to each other. Free and commercial plagiarism detection services are available. Even expert guide reviewers may well recognize the sources and can easily detect plagiarism. So those who are experts in your field, they will be able to identify whether this is your own idea or somebody else's idea. So always best is to cite it. Don't think that if I will cite, then the credibility will be low, because always the research will be on the shoulders of others. Research is that pushing the boundaries of knowledge by standing on the shoulders of giants. So basically, you do not have to be shy that if I disclose that from where I have taken the methodology, people will say that I have not done anything, I have taken the method. No, you have to cite it, then you have to propose what are the changes you have done, how you have went through, what are the changes you have done in the methodology, and never think twice to cite any author, any particular work. These are some of the anti-plagiarism software that are available these days. Authenticate, it is paid. Turnitin, it is paid. Urkund also, it is paid. Viper, CopyLeaks, Duplicate Checker, Paper Editor, Plagiarism. Yeah, these are some of the free software. But the best is like whenever you write something, always paraphrase it, cite it, so that you don't need any anti-plagiarism software or similarity matching software. I wanted to show you analysis of some one software called Urkund. Before saying you thank you, I'll show you like what kind of analysis you can see in Urkund software. So Urkund, when you upload an article, you get an analysis report, and the analysis report, it says that this particular article has 4 pages, and on each page, what are the different places where the similarity matching is like the text is matching with the database of Urkund. So now it is saying that 27 matching text, high similarity of content, and this is my receiver's average 24%, and this document average is 76%. Clicking on this view entire document, I can see the different portions where the text is copied. Like for example, this particular whole thing is copied, I can see from where it is copied. So this is basically copied from a particular uh, maybe it is a published paper, from some published paper. Then similarly, I can move to a next one, and I can see that this particular portion is also copied. The study also focuses on the general and specific features of the 4 most popular. The study also it shows what the author has done. They have removed focus, aim, and put focus, but that also the system will recognize. ठीक है, a concise analysis, so a brief dissection was done. तो इन्होंने लिख दिया है concise analysis has been done. So all the like most of the portions are copied, on this. Similarly, I can move on keeping a view of that. This is again from the same source. Introduction is also copied, and then this is also from same source. Same source. So this way we can, if something is like which is actually not properly detected by the software, and we think that it is not of it is wrongly detected by software, then we can click on this include in analysis, uncheck it if it is of not like if it is wrongly detected. But here we can see directly that it is fully copied. The methodology is a content analysis. The methodology is a content analysis of website of Koha, and Coursera, Koha and Ellipsis only. All the four software, both the software were more powerful. So basically, this paper, this whole paper is copy paste from a single source. I see at TJBRC, single source. So now this is the next source they have used, and so in this way you can analyze one by one, and even you can download the report also and check by downloading the report. This report will have all the contents in it. So this is the way like you can check the plagiarism using Urkund software. And similarly, I'll show you one document. Uh, so this document is basically from Turnitin report, and Turnitin in the beginning itself, it shows that 17% overall similarity, and what are the different sources from where it is matched. So the highest match is from onlinelibrary.wiley.com, 7%, and then other sources from where it is matched. And then in the text also it will underline and discuss the different portions which are copied. So this way you can see what are the portions which are basically similarity matching is there, and then you can change it. uh, so for example, you see this guy, this structure based drug design is copied. The classify is one of the most, this is also there, and like you can see what are the portions which are copied. So any questions you have?
Sir, actually, one question. एक question पूछना था sir. Can you
Hmm.
explain me about DOI? What is DOI means?
Okay. So DOI is basically a digital object identifier. Means the publishers, they have come up and formed a group. So what happens like for example, you have a website called www.abcd.com, and now on this website you have a PDF called test1.pdf. Now tomorrow what
Yes,
happened, you have this your website has gone down and you have not renewed the domain name, so this domain name is lost. Now whoever has got this link, जिसके पास भी ये लिंक मौजूद होगा, वो जब उस लिंक पे
yes,
क्लिक करेगा तो वो फाइल डाउनलोड नहीं हो पाएगी. ठीक है, ऐसे ही सिमिलरली फॉर पब्लिशर्स ऑल्सो. फॉर एग्जाम्पल emeraldinsight.com. सो अभी क्या है कि अगर एमराल्ड इनसाइट के ऊपर हम एक आर्टिकल है पब्लिश हुआ है, तो उस आर्टिकल का एक यूआरएल होगा बड़ा सा.
yes, sir.
वो यूआरएल अगर वो एमराल्ड की वेबसाइट चेंज होती है या उसका यूआरएल चेंज करता है वो, तो वो वेबसाइट एक्सेसिबल नहीं हो पाएगा. जो सभी जर्नल पब्लिशर्स ने क्या किया, एक बनाया और उन्होंने कहा कि हम एक ऐसा आइडेंटिफायर बनाते हैं जो यूआरएल के ऊपर डिपेंड नहीं करेगा. तो एक DOI dx.doi.org एक संस्था बनी, जिस संस्था का काम है कि वो DOI प्रदान करता है. तो हर पब्लिशर को एक DOI का एक आईडी दिया गया, जैसे 10 पॉइंट समथिंग करके एक हर पब्लिशर को दिया गया है, और उसके बाद की वैल्यू वो खुद डालता है और इस बात की रजिस्ट्री इंफॉर्मेशन DOI को भेज देता है. तो क्या होगा कि कल को अगर उसकी वेबसाइट चेंज होती है तो
Yes,
वो DOI को सिर्फ ये बताएगा कि अब मेरे इतने यूआरएल जितने थे उनमें ये चेंज हुआ है, और DOI चेंज नहीं होगा, DOI वही रहेगा. तो परसिस्टेंस जो है ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ टाइम, जैसे अभी आज से 100 साल बाद भी जो आर्टिकल आज छपा है वो अवेलेबल रहे, उसको परसिस्टेंटली प्रिजर्व करने के लिए DOI जो है एक परसिस्टेंट आइडेंटिफायर है। ठीक है, इसीलिए जो है ज़्यादातर जो अच्छे जर्नल्स हैं वो DOI प्रदान करते हैं। इससे उसकी रिट्रीवेबिलिटी अच्छी हो जाती है, डिस्कवरेबिलिटी अच्छी हो जाती है, और किसी एक पर्टिकुलर पब्लिशर की वेबसाइट पे जो उसका जो डिपेंडेंस है, URL पे जो डिपेंडेंस है वो कम हो जाता है। क्लियर है?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
कुछ इस तरह से है, जैसे अगर और थोड़ा डिटेल में समझे, जैसे आपका एड्रेस आपके पोस्ट ऑफिस में आप PO बॉक्स होता था ना पहले, पोस्ट ऑफिस बॉक्स नंबर, तो
Yes,
आपका
sir.
भले ही एड्रेस कुछ भी हो बट PO बॉक्स नंबर वही रहता था। तो ऐसा किस लिए करते थे, ताकि अगर आप बार बार एड्रेस अपना बदलते रहते हैं तो PO बॉक्स एक रहेगा, तो आप अपने उस PO बॉक्स पे जाके अपना मेल हर हफ्ते, महीने या दूसरे दिन उस PO बॉक्स से अपना मेल उठा लेते थे खुद पर्सनली जाके। तो आपका
Yes, sir.
एड्रेस अगर चेंज हुआ है तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। तो सिमिलरली DOI भी PO बॉक्स की तरह है। PO बॉक्स नंबर जो है वो DOI नंबर है, और आपका जो एड्रेस है वो मैटर नहीं करता उतना, पब्लिशर का एड्रेस। एनी अदर क्वेश्चन? ठीक है, तो एज ए स्टूडेंट आई थिंक प्लेजरिज्म पे आप लोग का अवेयरनेस बहुत ज़रूरी है, एंड अभी से हैबिट बनाइए कि हाउ टू राइट इन योर ओन वर्ड्स, so that you after passing the course and in your future endeavors like for research and academic activities, you develop the writing, the academic writing part, and you start writing your own content by yourself. Okay, with this word I finish. Any questions you have, you can send it on my email, and anything you can ask this Rohit ji, and
जी
he will
सर,
send me.
जी थैंक यू सो मच सर।